Welcome to the Life with Joey Calvo Podcast. I'm Joey Calvo. If you haven't been hearing the past couple podcasts, I'm kind of on a life support right now in reference to this podcast. As you can tell, this is not being done from the way it's normally done because of me being unemployed and unable to keep up with everything. So I'm running on life support. So that's why the GoFundMe page has been up, as well as the Patreon page. The links are on the screen itself. Because during this time, I had the opportunity to expand this podcast onto TV and radio, at least here in Philadelphia. So, but in order for me to do that, I'm learning now that I can't do everything by myself anymore. And so that's why the GoFundMe page was set up, as well as the Patreon page. And when you go to the Patreon page and you subscribe, you're going to be amazed at what's on there. And there'll be more coming up on there for paid subscribers that you could purchase because, of course, with the holidays and of course, you've heard me talk about the podcast's number one fan, number one supporter, who's a real-life superheroine by the name of American Fox. There's a lot of American Fox material on the Patreon page that's for sale, and that would be great for Christmas, even Valentine. I've got posts up there for Valentine's Day already with American Fox. If you want to make American Fox your virtual Valentine, definitely go to the Patreon page and purchase those, because believe me, you'll be amazed at the pictures that are up there. So now that I got through all that, our guest today is Epiphany Jordan. She's a caregiver and nurturer by nature and profession. From running a guest house to hosting large events to managing busy executives' lives, and she brings humor, wisdom, patience, and acceptance to her interactions with other people. And definitely right now, in reference to some things I do need patience for, and with other people. And she's also author of Somebody Hold Me, the Single Person's Guide to Nurture and Human Touch. When I saw that title, I was like, yeah, I need it like right now. Like I'm missing it. And certain people know about that. So Epiphany, welcome to the podcast. Before we start, I'm going to pick on her for a minute, because the last time that we were going to do this podcast, she actually forgot us. Okay, so please, as you give questions, don't give her the evil mind of why did you do this to us? So because I am a God-bearing person, and I do have a heart to where second chances come through. So, and when Epiphany realized that she accidentally forgot us, okay, she came to me. So I'm not one of those people like, saying you screwed us over, yada yada yada. Don't even think about coming back. No, that's not me. And believe me, I have a backup that will remind me not to do that. And of course, you know who that person is in reference to that. But Epiphany, otherwise, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I can actually tell you why I missed it last time. I was having to move. My mother has Alzheimer's, and that day I was moving her from assisted living into memory care, and it was a pretty sudden and unexpected thing, and everything was just super chaotic that week. And I got home and I looked at my calendar and I was just like, oh my God, because I don't like to be a flaky person. That's
right. No, and I understand that.
One thing, but yeah.
Yeah, and I understand that. Like I said, I'm joking about it now because, but I mean, in all seriousness, yeah, and in all seriousness, at the same time, my mom, who's 94 years old, okay, had 2 strokes right before her birthday.
Oh, wow.
And now she's in a physical rehabilitation center.
Yeah.
And now it's like when I speak to her, um, it's almost like she's almost starting to forget who I am. So I know the
Oh,
time
I'm
is
sorry to hear
coming.
that.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm still blessed that she's around. That's
Yeah.
the best thing. So let's get back to you, Epiphany. Let's hear about how you got to be where you're at right now. What started it all for Epiphany Jordan?
Are you talking about specifically about the work I do around touch?
What led you to where I read off what you do now?
Yeah, let's see. So in 2008 or 2009, I was actually studying sacred sexuality with a woman in Atlanta, Georgia, Inara de Luna with the Temple of the Red Lotus. And her thing was she would go to pagan festivals and she would talk about, well, we're talking about worshiping the goddess, but we're not really talking about her intersexual aspect. So she had all these different
Mm-hmm.
offerings that she would go to festivals and talk about them. And in 2009, I think it was, I went to a festival with her, and one of the offerings she had was called a Karuna session, which was a ritual that was based on non-sexual touch. And I worked with her, and there were a couple of other students who were there, and we all worked together to give people non-sexual touch and bring them through this ritual portion. And I was just really struck by the profound effect that we were having on people. And
Mm-hmm.
so, forward to 2013, I started playing around with the protocol a little bit with a friend, and we just, we were like doing this thing with people, and everybody was just like, oh my God, this is amazing, you should turn it into a business. And
Yeah.
so we did. And then a little bit later on, a couple of years later, I wrote the book, and I spoke. I've just been like completely fascinated with this subject for the last 12 years. I've been
Okay.
researching it and practicing and talking about it and writing about it and all the things. So yeah.
And then you went. Besides this, you have another business included. Well, we could say included into this, that you are doing to help people as well. So it's not just the nurturing. There's another part that you do.
Yeah, I'm also a professional tarot reader. So they kind of work together, and sometimes they're separate and sometimes they're together.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can still hear you. I forgot to do one thing. Like I said, we are on we're on an emergency backup, quote unquote, and it went off.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, so so that's why like I accidentally hit the wrong button when I did it. So that's why I was off for a moment. So it's cleared now. I got it fixed to where it won't happen.
Okay,
But
great.
continue on. I'm sorry.
Uh, yeah, that's something I've been doing professionally for about 20 years. I've been reading for almost 40 years, and
Hmm.
I really enjoy it. And yeah,
What
they
got you
kind
into
of,
that, though?
what got me into tarot reading, I was
Yeah.
just interested in it, and I bought a deck and sat down
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of different books and a notebook and gave myself readings for a few years. And after a while, I felt confident enough to start doing readings for other people. And
Mm-hmm.
I've probably been at it for about probably about 15, almost 20 years when I decided to go professional. I had
Okay.
a friend in Texas who was a professional tarot reader, and she was moving away and introduced me to her booking agent. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to get to the fun part. As
Okay.
I mentioned before, the podcast has. Oops, give me a moment. There we go. The podcast has number one fan, number one supporter by the name of American Fox, and she's a real life superheroine. And unfortunately, I can't post. Like I said, we're in the emergency. So unfortunately, it doesn't let me pull up her picture for me to show everybody who she is. But if you go to the past live podcasts where questions have been or even mentioned about her, you'll see her picture popping up. So she has questions for you today. And the first question that she has for you is, and it may be a repeat of what you brought up earlier, is how did you become a physical touch type person?
I mean, I would say, we are physical touch is a sense that we all need and use from the get-go, from the time we're infants. If you raise infants with a lot of physical touch, then it helps your brain develop, especially around emotional regulation and attachment styles. So, I've been a touch person all along, from getting it from my parents when I was young. And I've thought about it because I've had other experiences. This was probably about 30 years ago, and I was at a retreat, and one of the women who was at the retreat with me was having a really hard time. She was processing some stuff that was really painful for her. And that night she was getting ready to go to bed, and I came and sat next to her bed and kind of like stroked her hair and tucked her in. And she would mention that to me for years after we talked, after it happened, oh, I remember this experience. I had another experience like that with a friend who was going through a divorce, and both of her parents died. And I was like, we were having a get together with a bunch of friends, and I was like, if you want me to mother you, I can. And so she like leaned back, and I put my arms around her, and we just sat on the couch for about half an hour and talked. Same thing. She reminds me of it every time I talk to her. So it's one of my favorite ways to be able to take care of people. Obviously, I've been like more doing a bigger
She's
deep
frozen.
dive.
We lost Epiphany for a moment. There we go. Yeah.
Am I back? Yeah.
Yeah, you're back. Yeah, we lost you for a moment.
That's no good.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, it looks like it. So, yeah, I mean, I've been really into this, and doing scientific research. This was a topic I studied when I went to grad school a couple years ago. I studied human touch through a public health lens. And I've had a hands-on business, and sometimes I run workshops, and talking to people about it and going on podcasts. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely my life's work and my passion. So yeah.
Okay, so question number 2 from American Fox is, how did you get people into the discussion on the who, what, and why?
That's a great question. I think that since the pandemic, there's been a fair amount of awareness about this topic during the pandemic, when people who lived alone just didn't have any touch whatsoever. And it was really hard on people. And I started seeing some research around that time about the effect that all this physical isolation was having on people. And but even before that, there was a lot of lack of touch. But now there seems to be a greater awareness. More people are talking about like, hey, we don't have a lot of touch. And I think that it looks completely different for every person. So with the who, I mean, you could be talking about friends, you could be talking about a romantic partner, you could be talking about getting touch from a stranger. The what that's all up for negotiation. I mean, a lot of people don't even recognize what, if you talk to them about non-sexual touch, platonic touch, nurturing human touch, they're like, I have, what are you talking about besides like hugging somebody or cuddling them? But, it can be something really simple, like, putting your hand on somebody's shoulder, or, just putting your hands together like this, especially for people who haven't had touch in a long time. And as far
Yeah.
as the why, because it's part of our DNA, it's like our skin is our largest organ of our body, and we have sensors in our skin that are designed to register touch
Mm-hmm.
from other people, to register emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an integral part of the human experience and the mammalian experience. I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, it's like we start our lives as infants being held by our parents, and if we're lucky as we go through life, we get more of that. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So question number 3 from American Fox, and we're going to jump off the human touch for a moment.
Okay.
How did you develop your own tarot deck?
I did not do my own tarot deck. I'm okay as an artist, but I'm more of a writer than a visual artist. The deck was done by a dear friend of mine, Eliza. It's called Bitch Medicine, by
Mm-hmm.
Eliza Bundleby, and I helped her with figuring out the meanings of the cards, and we had like little exercises that went with each card. So I helped her all that with the interpretations. So it is not my project. I was just fortunate enough to be able to collaborate on it with somebody who I really enjoy working with, and she's one of those people who it's like she can write, she can sing, she can play guitar, she's a great photographer, she's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful artist. It's the woman who did the cover for my book, For Somebody Hold Me. I
Okay.
mean, she's just multi talented. Right now, she's learning to DJ. I mean, she's incredible, and I love working with her. She's actually working on a new deck, so I'm going to get to work on that one too, I hope.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. All right. So question number 4 from American Fox kind of brings the two together, if you think about it. Can you do readings remotely, or best if touching the client?
I mean, I never really touch clients while I'm giving them readings. I absolutely do read remotely. That's something that I've done for years. But I mean, I may hug somebody before or after the reading, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really picking up any information from them physically. It's all just kind of intuitive. I'm going off what I see in the cards, what the question they're asking me, and its
Mm-hmm.
place in the reading. So, um,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh, well, like I said, when she brought that question up, as I was reading it now, I'm realizing that she was trying to bring really both of the
Yeah,
nurturing touch
that's
and the
totally cool.
yeah and the tarot reading together in reference to it. The 5th question she has for you, and it drew me off the wall, and I didn't catch it. She asked, "Do you swear that much?"
Fuck yeah, I do. Yeah, I swear a lot in the book. There's a lot of swearing in the book, and
Mhm.
I usually ask people before I come on their podcast if they're okay with me swearing or no, because
Well, you already had the okay. Didn't matter even if you asked.
yeah,
So
I
curse all
do.
the hell you want.
I mean, I probably swear less now than I did 10 or
Yeah.
15 years ago, but there's still a lot of words in my
Yeah.
vocabulary. So yeah.
All right. So, folks, you can follow American Fox on X at American Fox 4 or on Instagram at American Fox 12018. So now I have this question
Okay.
because I've missed having physical touch for about off and on for about a year. I mean, I get the normal hugs, kisses,
Yeah.
thing from someone, but it's not as intimate as it used to be.
Okay.
So, and I'm now getting ready to go into a relationship where I actually, I'm literally saying this, folks. I now, at 54 years old, soon to be 55, have to prove that I can still be intimate with someone. And so my question to you, Epiphany, is how can I show I can't say the ultimate, but the best way of showing an intimate touch to someone that I want to be with?
Oh, okay. So now you're getting into another former profession that I had. At one point, I was an advice columnist.
Yeah.
So that's funny. So are you talking specifically about sexually explicit touch, or I
Kind
mean,
of both.
you have to
Kind
define intimacy. I mean, that's
of,
defined
okay.
in a lot of
My
different
version
ways.
of intimacy is starting out with starting towards a romantic kiss to passionate kissing that could lead to sexual.
Okay. So I mean, this our culture has this paradigm that touch equals sex, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like we always think about touch as having to lead to sex, and it's this paradigm of touch equals sex also really affects, it obviously it affects single people, but it also affects people who are in relationships. I mean, when I did research I did a big research project on touch for grad school, and all the women that I talked to talked about, being married or being in a relationship with somebody who would only touch them when they were trying to have sex with them. And they were like, it was a huge turnoff. So
Yeah.
I think that, being able to touch somebody in a real, to kind of get them used to being touched by you and being close to you, to just, like maybe one of the things I like to do is, set a timer for 10 minutes and just, put your hands on the person in a non-sexual way when the person lies down, and, you put your hands on their shoulders or stroke their arms or their legs or hold their feet, or, put your hand on their belly, or, touch their face, that kind of thing, where your goal is not, you're not doing it as foreplay, you're just doing it just to touch each other, to relax, and, kind of get to, calm down somebody's nervous system and make them feel safe. And yeah,
Yeah.
I would,
Because like I said, it's been a couple of years since I got really intimate with someone.
yeah,
And I this is kind of the way I've been seeing it, and the therapy, quote unquote, that I've been discussing along different podcasts is I've actually had to rebuild myself, literally, since the summer. I was one of these people that were always on the outside looking in and realizing, that I'd rather have been alone than, all boarded up and isolated, than really enjoying life. And then all of a sudden I actually fought myself out of it by starting with spiritual therapy. And the
mhm,
spiritual therapy actually started to make me realize how much better of a person I could be. And so,
beautiful.
and so that within what's going on now led into where this new relationship is coming. And so now is going to be becoming the ultimate test for me, because if I feel or I notice that the relationship is not going to go anywhere, then I'm not blaming the person that I'm with. I'm going to blame myself. So, like I said, when I asked that question about the best way of showing an intimate touch to someone to show that I really want them in my life, and I'm as of right now, I'm really happy that this person's in my life.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I want to make sure that as I'm getting older, like I said, I'm going to be 55 in March. So, I want to make sure that this relationship that I'm about to go in is going to be it will be the ultimate last for me, per se. Even though, anything can happen during that. But I want to make sure that when I go into this relationship, I want to make it really last. I don't want it to be like the other relationships where I had, where they literally cheated on me. Even when I was married, I was cheated on because I thought I was able to be intimate enough or show that, I was the one. And so right now I'm kind of scared because because of the fear that when this relationship comes, as this relationship is going on right now, I have that fear that the intimacy is not going to be there, or if it's there, it's not strong enough to prove that I really want more than just sex. Even though, of course, most guys want that, if I'm wrong, guys, sorry. But, most guys, when they, post on social media to certain models, or even, to adult actresses, they're like, oh yeah, babe, I want you badly, or I'll be the one that, will satisfy you. And I'm like, yeah, I want to say the same thing too, but in reality, I'm saying it to, not to blend in, but I'm saying it because that's who I am. So with this relationship that I'm in now, I want to say that. And I want to show it. So that's, like I said, that's why I asked. So what is the best advice as we're, as I have your website, nurturinghumantouch.com up, so people can reach out to you in reference to, your services and stuff. What's the best advice you can give someone who me being alone right now, even though I'm now going into a relationship? What is the best advice you could give someone who is in the position that I'm in, or is even already in a relationship, and they're questioning their intimacy, they're questioning their relationship itself, they're questioning, sometimes they may even question who the person is in their relationship. What's the best advice you can give them?
Ask the other person what they want. The nurturing human touch stuff that I do is more focused on non-sexual touch, but like I said, I think that it's something that people who are romantically involved struggle with as well. You know, it's like single people
Mm-hmm.
struggle with it, married people struggle with it in a different way. But I mean, I'm not a sex coach. Um, I'm not a sex therapist. I'm not, you know, that's not quite in my wheelhouse. But, you know, I mean, I could go, oh, I like this or I like that, and the person that you're talking to might not have any interest in that at all. You know, it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's no guarantees. You can't have great love without great risk. You know,
Right.
if you don't go into it willing to be hurt, then you know it's like you'll get low level things that won't develop. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
just yeah, and you know, part of it is just kind of leaving it to chance. You know, it's like when you're in something new, it's like you don't know the other person, you don't know what they like. We as a culture, we assume that everybody likes the same thing, or that our partner is supposed to know what we do like. I mean, you could just, you know, put your hands on this person and say, you know, do you like it when I touch you like this or like this? And
Mm-hmm.
you know, but this, you know, this idea of kind of like slowing everything down, and you know, making it so the touch is not necessarily a prelude to sex, but just exists for its own thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I do that kind of stuff with friends all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a friend's cafe the other night. There were three of us. We were doing a dance thing together, and we got done. I was like, "Hey, you guys, let's do some touch." And they're like, "Okay." So we had one person lay down, and then the other people just touched them. You know, none of us were gonna have sex with each other or anything, and you know, everybody was just like, "Oh my God, that feels so good." You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
so relaxing and calming, you know, calms the body's nervous system down. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think that, I mean, speaking as a woman, I think that the best thing that a man can do for me is to make sure I feel safe, because that's when I can open up, you know, and that doesn't necessarily happen the first time that you sleep with
Mm-hmm.
somebody or even the second or the third.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah, I mean, I would ask the other person what they want, you know,
Okay.
what they like. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. And
Yeah.
so, what's next for Epiphany?
What's next for me?
Yep.
That's a good question. I've been trying to figure it out. You know, a lot of my time and energy right now is spent on taking care of my mom.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't live with me full time, but I'm kind of I manage all of her care, and I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
her primary companion and so forth. So gonna have to see what kind of fits in with that
Yeah.
next year. I've actually thought about doing a second edition of the book, because I think that
Okay.
things have changed a lot since COVID.
Right.
I would actually like to write a book about non-sexual touch for couples. Doing a few workshops here and there where I live, you know, and talking to people one on one, doing a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of coaching, and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So definitely go to nurturingtouchhumantouch.com and you can reach out to Epiphany that way. And if you feel that you need to book a session with Epiphany where you're near where she's at and you need the non-sexual touch, you need the gratification to have your life healed in some way, shape, or form, reach out to Epiphany that way as well. And maybe, she can work out something with you to be able to obtain that. Um, and I thank you for the advice you gave me in reference to the intimate
Of
touch,
course, yeah,
because like I'm saying, I haven't really felt it in so long that,
yeah,
I'm just afraid that if I attempt to give it, it's not going to be the satisfaction that I want. not just that I want that, but what that person wants as well. So, hopefully.
I mean, you never know until you try, right?
Right. And believe me, the one thing you mentioned, you mentioned, you know, within the title of your book, patience. And that's the one thing right now that I'm like really, how can I say, not holding on to, because I'm just like really wanting to move forward, being and you know how Aries people are, like they go like to jump head first into everything. And so right now I'm like being that Aries person and like really jumping forward and wanting to get it done just to get the thought out of the mind and to see, where is this going? But, like you're saying, you want it to be right. You want it, even if you have to be patient and waiting for it to happen, but you want to be able to do it right and right the first time. And that's what I'm going to be struggling to hold on to for right now, at least in reference to it. But definitely, like I said, go to nurturinghumantouch.com, reach out to Epiphany. If she can help you, reach out to her. Tell her that you even heard it on the podcast. And, that way, not only that she sees that people actually watch this and to know that, that they can be helped, just really want to grab on to what's left in their lives is the best thing. And if it has to come down to needing to be touched to do it, then Epiphany is the person to reach out to.
Thanks.
Like I'm saying, in the relationship I'm in right now, I'm feeling the touch, but it's not right now. It's there. It's in a patience mode, but it's not physical, and that's what the patience is killing about.
So I get it. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. So definitely reach out to Epiphany. Definitely go out to nurturinghumantouch.com. Reach out. Like I said, mention that you watched it on the podcast, on YouTube, and hopefully, well, I don't need to say hopefully, Epiphany will be able to help you. If not one way, another. And even if you decide you need a reading, a tarot card reading, reach out to Epiphany anyway. Because one way or another, she will guide you into the direction you need to be in. Like right now, God's guiding my direction. And even though it's not the direction I was looking at, but I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, which is this relationship that I'm now in. And that's been the biggest blessing that's come out of it so far, is that light. So I want to make sure that when I reach that light, I want to be able that I can show the intimacy in the proper way that's acceptable to both me and that special someone. Because fantastic. Yeah, and if it doesn't turn out the right way, at least I know I attempted it.
Yeah,
and that I know that it's not going to be the way it needs to be, and that it can separate into its own direction.
Yeah,
and
sounds great.
If it doesn't work out, at least I know that, okay, I didn't show it the right way, or it didn't go the way that it should go. Yeah. And so hopefully, as I'm doing my best to keep patient and doing my best to keep in my mind when that time comes to prepare to be intimate, to be prepared to really show that there is still a relationship in me that can be intimate and not just sexually. So, like I said, reach out to Epiphany. Go to nurturinghumantouch.com. Reach out to her, and definitely let Epiphany help you. And I again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank her for the advice she gave. And the questions that American Fox gave, I thank you for them as well. So hopefully everybody learned something today that needed to be learned. And I always like to hear, your feelings about it. So never be afraid to comment on any of these videos, because if you do have questions for Epiphany after this podcast and you post them on the YouTube, I will reach out to Epiphany and give her those questions. And that way I could always reply with her response. Or if she has a YouTube channel, per se, she can, answer your question right there and then. Yeah, and even if I'm thinking it as I'm saying all this, Epiphany, have you ever thought about doing your own podcast about this?
No, not really. It's from what I've seen of doing podcasts, it's a really grueling way to do a podcast. It's a lot of work, and yeah, I don't know, but it's definitely something I'll think about.
Would you like my honest opinion about that? It's not.
Okay.
It's really not. Only because what I do in reference to these podcasts, and I do my best to keep myself out. Like I said, I have my critiques. I've had my naysayers, but I do my best to keep everything in a conversation form and not gruel them like they're in an interrogation room at the police department. I try to do my best to make it less like a Larry King and more of, it's two people that's just having a conversation that explains, what they do, and, share their expertise, share their stories, and even get to a point to where, like, you know what, we could do more with this, and that's why, like, I've got these opportunities to go to, here in Philadelphia. There's an actual studio in Center City where they have the same they work with the same platform that I work on for this podcast. Gives me that opportunity to still do the podcast there, but also expand it to having it on radio and TV in Philadelphia and reach out to at least 1 million people.
Nice.
And at the same time, take that, build up a sponsorship, and this podcast is always open to sponsorship. So anybody that's watching these podcasts that want to sponsor, leave a comment even in any of the podcasts that you watch for me to reach out to you, and I will reach out. And because who knows, I may be able to have a quote unquote eventually down the line an event where Epiphany could be in Lake City, meeting and greeting with people, maybe even giving sessions of touch or tarot card reading, whichever preferred, and really meeting up with fans or future fans of the podcast, or even her own fans that are out here in the East Coast, it would be great to have her out here, and even like, past guests that have been on the podcast, if you want to see them in an event, go to the GoFundMe page, go to the Patreon page, because both of them are helping out this podcast, and it's what's going to make this podcast be better. And like I'm saying now as well, talk to Epiphany, go to nurturinghuman.touch.com, let her know that you watch this podcast, and let her help you, let her guide you into being better within yourself. Because I know and I believe that everybody can be better, and Epiphany can show you a way, at least a way, if not in person, but a way to get to be better, to maybe even being able to heal yourself in direction. Like I said, in reference to my journey right now, I'm healing, but not fully. And what I'm missing right now, I know I have to wait for and learn to be patient with, but I know it's there. I know it can happen. It's just it happening when it happens. So definitely, Epiphany, you're welcome to come back on this podcast anytime. Just let me know if something new comes up.
That.
And even if you want to do a quote unquote town hall about human touch, I mean, just let me know. We can do a Saturday, that you may be available, that you want to say, hey, Joey, I want to give this webinar on human touch that I think your viewers could learn from. If they haven't come to reach out to you already in reference to it, I think it will be a good thing, and especially with the new year coming up, that it may even strengthen the relationships that need sometimes that guidance from outside.
Yeah.
So like I said, you're welcome to come back even to do that. Like I said, just reach out to me. We'll work out something to where we can do that. All right.
That sounds great.
So Epiphany, thank you so much. Definitely, like I said, go to nurturinghuman.touch.com. Reach out to Epiphany. Epiphany, again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for sharing your expertise and your story with us. And thank you, everybody, for watching the Life with Joey Calvo podcast. God bless you all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yep.